Okay. We have everybody here, so I think we can go for it. Let's start with you delivering the aftermath to Madame Volyova, and then we'll get into your payoff and experience points and all the good and a little bit of bad stuff that comes after doing a score in this game. Does anybody want to kind of sum up what you did last week to recount it to Madame Volyova? You don't need to do the whole thing, but just give a quick summary, both for our narrative purposes and the way you would explain the event to her. Any volunteers?
Ghost busting.
Ghost busting. Okay.
And if people don't want to do it word for word, is there anything that you, before you meet with her, want to omit from the story for any reason? I don't know what that would be, but if there's anything you didn't want to fill her in on, decide that now, I guess.
I suggest we omit the filling our pockets with vials of plasma bit, maybe.
She said we could take whatever we wanted.
Yeah, she invited. She
Yeah.
said, "Whatever you find, you can grab."
Maybe she did not know what was going on there, though. So I think we should be.
Rip is pretty sure she knew exactly what was going on there. Not that matters. So, like, if you're looking for a character to say things, because if no one's going to step up, and I'm not playing what I would consider to be the leadership character here, but if he is allowed to speak, he'd say something like, "Well, they had a machine which gathered souls of the dead in a certain radius, and we destroyed it."
So Madame Volyova says, yes, we had our same spies observing the manor house. We saw you go in, and it sounds like you did quite a job. After you left, apparently the spirit bell rang, so someone must have died in there. And that machine you mentioned that blocked the ringing of the bell appeared not to work anymore, so your mission was quite well accomplished. And the spirit wardens took out a couple of bodies afterward, and we found out from our sources in the Blue Coats that they had found in a couple of coffins a couple of gondoliers who had been abducted and drugged and were possibly future sacrifices as part of this experiment. But we are well pleased with the work you did. You accomplished your mission quite efficiently. So, of course, we are happy to pay you as promised.
Excellent.
And
that was 7 coin, right?
7 coin. And I meant to ask anyone who wants to volunteer as scribe to be in charge of the Sun Chasers crew sheet.
I would beg Brent to be so, because I'm terrible at things.
Oh no,
I'm terrible at bookkeeping.
Oh, there's not that much bookkeeping, man.
Well, I have the crew sheet. Do you have the crew sheet?
I do not. I need to get the crew sheet, and I also need to.
Then it's down to me.
Okay.
Can I fill out the crew sheet in pen, or should I use pencil for this? I know the
if
player.
You have it printed off, I would very much use pencil. Yeah,
the playbook is very much pencil, but okay.
So 7 coin, and she expresses an interest in working with you again in the future. So that's good news.
Hey.
And she's impressed with the way you carried out the job. So 7 coin, that's a good chunk of change. Coin can go to individual characters and or to the crew. Your vault at present can only hold up to 4 coin, and you start with 2. And coin can be used for a number of different things. It can be used to buy you extra actions during downtime. It can be used to boost the effectiveness of certain actions in the course of mostly downtime. Of course, you can buy stuff with it or hire people with it. Also, at some point, your characters will need or want to retire, and your sort of aftermath is determined by how much coin you have at that point. So you can divvy it up. One option might be math-wise to put 2 coin to fill up the Sun Chaser vault and mark down 1 coin for each character, for example.
I like the sound of that.
That's what I was about to suggest.
Okay. That keeps the math nice and easy.
Well,
Willie might want more. I don't know.
Yeah, Willie kind of blew the damn place up.
I do believe I helped quite a bit.
Helped yourself quite a bit.
That's not all.
Okay, fuck it. We'll do 1 apiece this time.
Yeah, Brent, we're gonna do equal shares. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe today we'll start to establish some of how this gang works, and maybe how you came to be, because you're kind of an odd quintet here.
Okay,
Yes.
and then I assume we mark our 1 coin in that four
you put-
coin squares on our character sheet too, on the playbook. Sorry, up
On
in
the
the top
playbook,
right.
it is on the top right. Yep. So you'll mark 1 coin in the squares there. You'll have you'll probably want to keep that handy. As you get more coin, you'll stash some of your money, and
Yep.
then that is putting away
Okay.
something for the future.
Okay.
Oh.
So all of the grayed out stuff is stash, right?
Exactly. So now
Okay.
you're just marking coin.
Okay, cool. Should have
Then
got you.
we should do experience points for you.
Yeah.
Now, I kind of ripped you guys off. I didn't give you very many desperate rolls, which made life easier, but you get an experience point every time you make a desperate roll. The only actual role we define as desperate that I can recall is Rip's slag cheek and his desperate move to short out the window electroplasm before Gun went crashing through it.
Yeah.
That was pretty desperate.
That was.
Thanks, bud.
So you
Or
get to
ma'am.
you get to mark an experience point in the relevant attribute over the skill. So if you look over where it says attune in your list of skills,
Yep.
that was the one you made the desperate roll. So you get to mark 1 experience point in resolve.
In resolve, I see.
So that's
And
the tooth-shaped ones, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if
Okay.
everybody looks in the upper right there where it says XP and there are those tooth-shaped ones, Rip Slag Cheek just marked 1 in attune or in resolve.
Mhm.
Once you fill up all 6, you erase them and you get to put a new dot in any of the 4 skills underneath it.
So that's how that works. Okay.
Yeah. Then there's the other kind. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to. So, for example, I'm seeing here that I definitely feel that Gun addressed a challenge with tracking or violence.
Oh, one step at a time, my friend. One step
Oh,
at
okay.
a time.
All right.
That was the XP for. That's okay. That's the experience point for desperate action. Now, the rest of the experience points you get, if any, are going to go in another slot. If you look where it says the type of playbook you are, like slide or whisper or spider or whatever, right under that, it'll say special abilities and then playbook, and then it has another XP chart. The XP you're going to mark now are going to go there. And when you fill that up, you can take a new special ability from that list below.
Oh, is the XP tracker by the playbook?
Yeah.
Oh, it says playbook.
Right. So where you say slide, I'm actually using your character sheet for reference for silver slide special abilities. Yep. And then, I sometimes fear that.
I see.
You got it. Okay. Yeah. Kind of in the middle off to the right there. So these experience points, there's one category. So now look where some of you have seen this already, where it says earning XP off to the left there. So we're kind of learning our character sheets now through this.
Yeah.
Under earning XP, it said every time you roll a desperate action.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
We got that. And then going down, there will be one that I think on all of yours will be highlighted in red. That's the unique experience point thing for you. If you did that at least once over the course of a session, you get 1 XP. If you did a lots, you get 2 XP. So let's go one at a time. How about with silver to start? If you could read the one that's listed in red there.
I don't have color on mine, so I can't really do
Yeah,
that.
neither do I.
But I do.
Okay. So it's how you address the challenge.
Okay, I got it. You addressed a challenge with deception or influence. Yes, I did.
You did. Yep. With that whole chicanery at the door and the seduction of Gregor is his name, but he has a name, actually.
Okay.
People.
Oh, he does? All right. Okay.
Would you make the case that you did that once, or if it occurred multiple times, you get 2 XP?
I don't know. I mean, we were there for a pretty long time deceiving the
It was a kind of an ongoing campaign of deception.
And we had 2 people that we were deceiving.
True. Okay. So then you get to mark with that 2 experience points where we were just looking at by where it up to the top by where it says playbook.
Got it.
And then let's just kind of go down my list here with gun.
Right. So I gain XP every time I address a challenge with tracking or violence, and I shot a lot of people. I busted a ghost. I think that's worth 2 pips.
You shot a ghost. You shot the whatever that lab mad scientist was in the head, and and he collapsed, and you heard a ghostly voice in your brains. Yeah, I think that's worth 2. Sounds good. And then we'll go to Rip Slag Cheek.
Slag Cheek. I I addressed a challenge with knowledge or arcane power.
Okay. Ian?
I don't know if you can double dip for the electroplasmic defusing, because that might be knowledge, and I'm not going to complain if you can't. I did manage to control a ghost once to attack somebody, so that used arcane power, and then I tried to do it again and had a massive failure.
But yeah. Oh, and by the way, when it says you addressed a challenge on these, the rules are very specific. It does not mean you have to be successful at doing it.
No.
Okay, so that sounds like multiple occasions, so that'll be 2 XP for you. You guys just going swimmingly. Then William, 2 teeth.
Oh, yeah. You addressed the challenge with technical skill or mayhem. You already know the answer to the latter of this. Okay, I fixed the zip line to get me and Gun and Rip into the building.
Mm-hmm.
I built a bomb.
Yep.
I manufactured a bomb on the fly, and I wrecked a place.
Yes. Okay, that sounds like
With
2
said
XP
bomb.
to me. So you max out with your 2 there. And that takes us to Seymour the Spider.
You addressed a challenge with calculation or conspiracy.
It seems like you're in the same boat as Jenny at the front door there, as
Absolutely.
as Silver at the front door.
He was the mastermind of the whole conspiracy.
I think I definitely got 1 there anyway. I was thinking but that was more of an ad lib with the survey at the end.
I think you're going to get a second one because also you, in the meeting with Madame Volyova, kind of orchestrated the conversation
Cool.
to impress her.
I didn't know if we went back to that portion for cool. So 2, yeah, I'll take 2 for that. That's fine by me.
Okay. Now, the other sources of XP we haven't developed enough to quite get into, but that's something we can start to explore now. And this will be the same for all of you. You expressed your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. And so that stuff is all your background. You're a noble or you're a laborer or whatever. The heritages are kind of undefined, so we can kind of define those as we see fit. Does anybody, just looking at that, does anything leap to mind for anyone? I don't have anything in mind, but I can be convinced.
Nothing came up during the session, but I don't really remember what Tycheros meant when I put this character together months ago.
It's a fine question because it's been months since we put these characters together.
Yeah,
that's something we can explore more, I think, in future sessions and lay it out a little bit up front. But for now, I think probably no XP there.
Yeah, sure.
And then the last one, and this is just so you know how to get XP in the future. You struggled with issues from your vice or traumas during the session. Now, nobody's gotten trauma yet. You get trauma when you fill up your stress track. And then you have to mark off one of your traumas and select one of the 8 trauma options. And nobody's there yet. And I assume we'll start to get into your vices this time. And then those can show up in future sessions. So for now, everybody's got their 2 in their playbook from that first one. Any questions about experience points and how this works?
I think I'm good. I kind of get it, I think.
Yeah, so when we fill up one of these tracks, we get to fill out a bubble, right?
Exactly. So
what
you
happens
can look
when
at... No, go ahead.
I was going to say, what happens when we fill up the playbook experience ones?
So if you fill up the playbook experience, you get to pick one. So you started with 1 special ability.
Gotcha.
You get to pick
Thank you.
another
Thank you.
one. Then.
Okay.
And then also you have that sort of catch-all down there where you can pick one from somebody else's playbook.
Yep.
I mean, probably you'd want to pick 1 or 2 of your own first.
Yeah, once you drop 3 full experiences into that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
You have to drop 3 full experiences, or you can do it 3 times?
That's an interesting question. I read it as you need.
I would assume you can do it 3 times.
I'll have to go back and check
because
that.
that's how it would work. I always reference Monster of the Week.
Oh yeah,
and that's how it would work in Monster of the Week.
That is how it would work Monster of the Week.
True. Yeah, I'll go back and check that. We've got some time to figure that one out. Assume the experience point pace will pick up a little bit as I throw more desperate rolls at you and we get into your backgrounds and things like that.
Which backgrounds, right, guys? We definitely have those.
Yep, all the backgrounds.
I have an entire backstory for this character.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really?
I mean, at least for what was happening several weeks ago, anyway.
Cool. All right, so you've gotten your payoff. We got experience points, and now I'm going to grab my book where I have the page marked, and you're going to get, so most of the stuff that happens in downtime is good for you alls. Not all of it is. One thing you can get is heat. Duskfall is a city, I'm reading from the book here, of prying eyes and informants, both living and ghostly. Anything you do might be witnessed, and there's always evidence left behind. To reflect this, your crew acquires heat as they commit crimes. After a score or conflict with an opponent, your crew takes heat according to the nature of the operation. Here's the range. 0 heat, smooth and quiet, low exposure. 2 heat, contained, standard exposure. 4 heat, loud and chaotic, high exposure. 6 heat, wild, devastating exposure. And you can add heat for things like, did anybody die as a result? Was it on hostile turf, high profile or well-connected target, that sort of thing. My thought is it's probably 2 heat as a base, as kind of contained standard exposure. Like the authorities know something happened there, and maybe passersby saw you coming and going on the way, but you weren't engaged in a massive shootout in the middle of the street. And blowing things up in a public way. You kept all your blowing up indoors.
That we did.
And then you're supposed to add +2 heat if killing was involved. Whether the crew did the killing or not, bodies draw attention. And we know that the spirit wardens ended up showing up after the reverse bell got destroyed and at least one person died. Possibly more, depending on how you define death. So does that all sound reasonable? It would be a total of 4 heat then for the crew.
Onto our crew sheet.
For it.
So on the crew sheet, then, yeah, you could heat is kind of mid-page. You see it. So you're going to check off 4. And then when you get up to 9, you cross them all off. Yay. And your wanted level goes up to 1. Boo.
Yay.
Yeah, well, we got to get that.
Wanted, right?
Yeah.
We want to be the most wanted gang in Duskfall.
And yeah, the game, you'll have ways to decrease heat, but yeah, the game does kind of militate toward eventually you're going to be more and more wanted over time.
All right.
Our next step in downtime is entanglement.
I had a question.
Yes.
Is there a +1 because Lord Scurlock was involved?
I didn't throw that in because he's keeping. Oh yeah, Madame Volyova was going to let you know she knows it was a Lord Scurlock joint, but.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I had actually meant to do this in the sort of debrief. He did everything possible to not have his name attached to this operation.
Okay.
And in fact, you found out from Gregor, your new friend, that everybody there except maybe the main scientist was just a mercenary. They weren't part of Lord Scurlock's operation. They were just like hired help, which is kind of why they were such a motley crew. Clearly they were not a uniform sort of crew hanging out here.
So he's kept everything at a decent arm's length, so he can be blameless.
And the deal is, as Madame Volyova says, he's a very naughty boy because foiling the spirit bells is incredibly illegal. Like there are a lot of things people do in Duskwall that are illegal. Tampering with the spirit bells and causing the creation of ghosts is like right out there. Like that's going to get you in trouble.
Yeah, big time.
So even
no one likes ghosts.
Even a centuries old possible vampire like Lord Scurlock is going to keep that at arm's length if he's experimenting with that kind of thing. Now you're going to get into entanglement. Anytime you do something, there's a chance of something bad happening along with it. And what's going to happen is it's going to be a die roll. It starts based on your heat. That's going to tell me what chart you use. So your heat is 4. Ooh, so it's the middle chart. But then you're going to roll a number of dice equal to your wanted level. Well, your wanted level is 0. And you want a low roll here, by the way. So when you have 0 dots in a thing, you roll 2 dice and take the lowest one. So who would like to roll for your entanglements now? It'll just be
I think
2d6.
Silver should roll. She's had good rolls. She had good rolls last week.
But good high rolls. Now you want a low roll.
All right, what am I rolling?
Oh, and maybe
so you're rolling 2d6. And we're going to take the lower of the two.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Okay.
so it's a 1. So that result is gang trouble or questioning. Let's see. Questioning would be the blue coats grab an NPC member of your crew. Now, I think it's going to be gang trouble. And let's talk about that now. I had an idea. You, in crew creation a long time ago, you picked the asset of, or I think you automatically got the asset of thugs. Meaning for a level 0 crew, you'd have 1 or 2 thugs on your side that you could call upon. And I just kind of left them out to keep the game simple last time. But I had an idea. For a new crew, a group of thugs is supposed to be 1 or 2 thugs. And I thought, hey, you guys just made a new friend who could constitute your thugs. And the cool thing is he's tougher. This would be the guy you sort of not seduced, but flirted with at the doorway.
My new lapdog.
Yes.
Gregor.
He could be your crew, but crews your cohort of thugs, but they always come with a downside. And I was thinking that his downside would be, and we can talk about this, there would be a Gregor clock on your crew sheet that Column would start. It would have 6 slots in it, and when it fills up, Gregor goes nuts on somebody he thinks is treating Silver wrong.
I like Gregor.
That might be an enemy. That might be your new employer. It might be a random person in the street. You just don't know.
Could it be one of the crew? And can I choose who it is? Sorry.
I thought about that to be really mean, but I think we'll keep him loyal to the team anyway.
Okay.
Does that sound like a good use of that thug slot and of Gregor?
Yes, I like that.
Are people into that?
So the Gregor, it has 6, and how many are crossed off?
Well, there was a devil's bargain involved here, so I'm going to say that was 1 slot right there. And I'm going to say gang trouble. So one of your gangs causes trouble due to their flaw. So I'm going to say 2 more check marks on the Gregor goes nuts clock.
He's already half used up.
Yeah. That doesn't mean he's done. He doesn't mean he's all over. That means he does something bad, and then his clock starts at 0 again.
Oh boy.
Right, like any person, he doesn't like go and see anybody about his problem. He just lets it build back up again.
Right.
Remember,
Exactly.
every time he goes off, his name isn't Gregor, it's Cyril Figgis. And that's what Cyril Figgis, stop.
What's that from?
Archer.
Oh, I haven't watched Archer.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no Archer
Remember, I'm
references.
Cyril Figgis.
Okay, so this is the only clock we're adding, this Gregor clock?
So far, yeah.
Okay.
So far.
Okay, so that was your... And of course, I closed the book, but I still have the page marked. That was your entanglement roll, which wasn't too bad in the scope of things. Then your rep is going to go up. And then we'll get to your downtime activities, which are fun. So your reputation, you earn 2 rep per score by default.
Okay.
If the target of the score is higher tier than you, yes, he is, you take +1 rep per tier higher. It would be 3, I'm going to say, and it was a little easier because of this, because of the arm's length, it's going to be 2 more. So a total of 4 rep. Now, you do have the option when you do scores of trying to keep jobs completely quiet so that there's no heat and everybody keeps tight-mouthed about it, but then your rep doesn't go up, and that's no good. And when your rep fills out, you kind of level up your group and can do cooler stuff that's a little ways off. Oh, and for experience points, let's look at your crew now. The crew also gets experience.
Oh.
So let's have a look at our Sun Chasers sheet. Your special one is Bravos. Execute a successful battle, extortion, sabotage, or smash and grab operation. I think you did a sabotage operation.
Hell yeah, we did.
It was a sabotage, and then it kind of turned into a little smash and grab.
Yeah, a little of both.
But yeah, I'm done with that.
So that's an experience point. And do you see where to put experience points column? For your crew?
Yes. So how many?
Okay. 1 for that.
Just 1. Okay.
Contend with challenges above your current station.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. crossing Lord Scurlock. Then bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one. And your reputation is strange, like more willing than your average criminal to deal with paranormal and arcane forces. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have us up to 3 here.
3. And the 4th advancement is express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew. I'd be interested to hear what you say about that. We haven't really defined all of that. You're called the Sun Chasers, and this is a world where the sun no longer shines. Like it literally kind of broke up into pieces. Don't delve into the science of that at all. And there was some talk, at least one of you is interested in one of the older forgotten gods of the sun, of the now destroyed sun. So I don't know. Do you want to make the case that you in some way express goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of your crew as you say it?
I don't know that we've gotten there yet.
I personally don't have a. I mean, I'm sure I could find some incredibly convoluted way to justify it. I always can, but I don't think I have anything that would pass the sniff test.
Okay, we're not there yet. That's fine. Okay, so that's 3 experience points, and once you fill that up, you can do. You can check off another special ability, or you can check off crew upgrades, or advance your cohorts. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with crew experience points. Okay, well, before we get to your downtime activities, you get a visit from your contact, Conway, who's a member of the Bluecoats, who you selected in the crew creation process.
Conway!
Yeah. So I don't know. What are we thinking Conway is? Is he like a street cop or a dispatcher, bureaucrat type, or a junior officer? Where would he be in the hierarchy?
Yeah, he used to work in the office that I worked in, and I don't know. We always like talking about stuff, and so he when I sort of made my move, he kind of came with.
Okay. Like he's still in the Bluecoats, though, because that's why he's a useful source of information to you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So he pays you a visit. And he lets you know. So this is, you're hanging out at your mansion. You've got this old mansion, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the 6 towers.
It's like an abandoned mansion. I assume
yeah.
I assume it's pretty shitty.
It is, yeah. Has anybody done anything to spruce up your space, William? What would your space in the mansion look like?
Oh, I've just got some unused coal sacks that I use for bedding, so it's pretty nice.
And what is Silver, a noble woman, reduced to these circumstances? How do you dress things up?
Well, I mean, I have many fine silks from my previous life that I managed to stuff in my reticule or whatever. So I have those sort of hung up for a little private chamber.
Excellent.
And I have cushions, like lovely cushions that I can recline on, like full body pillow type thing.
And how does Rip Slag Cheek set up his? And it's an abandoned mansion. You can each have your own room and then some. What does Rip Slag Cheek do to decorate? Teen Meat posters, or?
I think he's like the spare scholar. So like he's got I haven't figured it out yet whether he's going to be the kind of scholar that has like books and papers everywhere, or if he's more of like an organized, neat freak. I think now that I'm talking this, I think I'm leaning towards the latter. So he's probably got a desk with some neat papers and a book, easily, notebooks on it, and a couple of bookcases, and a barely functional bed, and just enough clothes that he can keep a set clean to change into from one day to the next.
Excellent.
Could I throw in some flavor that for you to reject or accept, Rip?
No.
Okay.
What is it?
I think that if this is a manor house, there's probably like a library, and I kind of imagine Rip kind of setting up his shop in that library.
I think what he would prefer to do, honestly, is to go there often and take things out of it and bring it to his room.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And then take them back.
Okay, how does Seymour live?
I envision this house having nothing in it. That it's just an abandoned ass broke down mansion.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think there would be a library room with shelves, but
Mhm.
like only a little debris left, probably not
Yeah.
like the
Well,
library wouldn't
William's
be cleaned out that
just happy to have his own room. So it's got nothing in it except, he's got his clean coal sacks, like fresh ones. He's not a fucking animal that he sleeps on the floor on, and then he would have a table that he keeps his various knickknacks on.
Excellent. And Seymour.
Seymour probably spends a good chunk of his time on the veranda watching the junkies and drunks and pimps and whores and drinking beer. And then Colin gets it.
Yes, same.
Now you're
5 green
figuring out my
bottles.
backstory. Yep. Yeah, and then his room is pretty simple. If there was an old wardrobe, there's probably an old wardrobe with a few sets of clothes in it, because I've got some disguises and stuff like that. I have maybe a small vanity that has some paper and ink and pens and maybe some wax and seals, because I get up to a little forgery and stuff like that. But really pretty threadbare and simple.
Excellent. And Gunn.
Yeah, so Gunn has sort of set up shop in what used to be some kind of lounge or something, because there's on the walls there's still like the taxidermied mounted heads of like animals that have been hunted and killed, but because the mansion is so decrepit, those have just like they're completely just like cobwebbed over, just like not really well preserved anymore. So those are hanging up on the wall. The entire room is just a mess of just like her personal belongings, along with like just a cot, a lot of empty bottles that just kind of go rolling around, except one bench. One bench in this room is completely and totally spotless, immaculate. And it's the same bench that she has all of her gun oil, the rounds that she makes for the ghost busting ammunition, all that stuff. Like she takes that very seriously.
Cool. Well, now here comes a visitor like Conway. Where do
Conway!
you entertain?
Oh, in the draw, obviously. We're not animals.
Okay. All right. Well, and you could spot, you guys, I assume, kind of keep watch on your neighborhood. Make sure nobody sneaks up and takes you by surprise. So you see Conway coming. He, of course, comes plain clothes. He doesn't come in his blue coat uniform and tip everybody off that he's there. And he stops in for a visit. Do you all want to come out and talk to him? He usually is a source of good information.
Yeah, I'm probably already, like I said, sitting out on the veranda. So and probably half in the bag. So yeah, I'm definitely there.
Okay. Yeah, so Conway comes by. You can meet up then in the drawing room. Probably don't want to conduct your business out on the veranda. And Conway says, yeah, so I heard there was a big job in Six Towers, a lot of explosion and some shooting and whatnot.
Why else do you think we're popping the champagne cork there, Conway? Conway!
Yeah, so spirit wardens were there. Some of us blue coats had to show up. Didn't seem like anything too important was going on there, so there's not a big investigation. But word is that the gray cloaks are interested in what went on there, and you all know that the gray cloaks are former blue coats who were ejected over claims of a corruption scandal. They claim they were framed. People wonder how you could be too corrupt for the blue coats anyway, but there they are. And they've formed their own crime gang. And you know that they are also fellow residents of the Six Towers district. And Conway says, yeah, sounds like they're looking to make a play to run Six Towers. And they want to find out who's doing jobs in the town so they can get some kind of cut of any money that was involved or shut them down if they think they're competitive for the territory. So you do what you want with it, but at some point I think you're going to need to figure out your relationship with the gray coats.
So I think it seems pretty obvious that the gray coats definitely weren't framed. They clearly were corrupt, because they formed a crime gang.
Oh, that's just what you do in Duskwall when you run out of a job. No, seriously, like there's a whole gang called the Lamp Blacks who used to light the gas lamps, and when that got replaced with electroplasm, they just naturally turned into a crime gang. Yeah, so that's just kind of what you do. It's kind of the economics of the city. So Conway says, "Yeah, you if not today or tomorrow, you're gonna need to figure out your relationship with the Grey Cloaks, or they're gonna I don't know, they're gonna try to put the screws down on you or something."
I'm getting a real Jets versus Sharks kind of thing here.
Yeah.
And I assume these people outmatch us in every way.
They're not the toughest gang in town, but they have some influence, and I mean most of them are former bluecoats, so they are armed and trained in violence, and they do crimes, often using their leftover bluecoat uniforms as cover.
I may be able to talk to a friend.
And do you have any questions for Conway about what the bluecoats are up to, or what he knows about the Grey Cloaks?
So what did the Blue Cloaks pick up from the crime scene? Did they?
Yeah, they did some questioning in the area. They got some information of people who sort of matched your descriptions. Not everybody was talking, and there were some contradictory stories.
Just apropos of nothing, did they find any globes?
It's funny thing, they didn't mention anything about any globes, but
they probably pocketed
that doesn't mean they didn't find any globes.
Nice globes. Kept them for themselves, said them.
Yeah, no, so but the word is they found a couple of corpses. They found a couple gondoliers in coffins who had been drugged up for some reason. But whoever was doing anything in this place hustled out of there. So they didn't find anybody except the gondoliers still alive in that mansion. They just found a big wrecked piece of machinery, like blown up pretty good. Whoever did that, good work to them.
Mm-hmm.
That was you.
I don't know anything about
that.
Oh, and Conway's cool. I mean, he's your official contact here. He's not going to narc on you guys. I mean, if he gets questioned or something, all bets are off. But yeah.
Conway, come on. Conway's solid.
Yeah, Conway's cool, man.
I don't trust him.
So, if we were to track down and try to make contact and parlay with some graycoats, is there someone or some place that would be how would one go about doing that in a way that wouldn't instantly get us sliced?
Connolly says, yeah, they got supposedly their base is a basement of a burned down old city watch station. I wouldn't walk right up there, though. They got a place, a tobacconist here in Six Towers, and a gambling den. That's probably, if you wanted to talk to them nice, that'd probably be the way to go. Approach them, real gentle like that way.
You know what, Seymour, my pipe has been getting kind of empty lately anyway. Do you want to head down to Tobacconist with me?
That sounds like a plan. We might take a swing by and see one of my friends on the way, see if they can provide any information or insight.
Well, I very, 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 very much want to attend the gambling den as soon as possible because I have a large amount of stress to burn off.
Okay. Well, that could be our meeting with Conway. Now we're going to do a couple different sections of the game. We're going to go to downtime activities now, which is kind of a pretty rule-based thing. And then we'll do some open play where you can do things like gathering information and trying to make contacts and things like that. Let's start with our official downtime activities now. There are a handful of different things you can do. And here are they. And I'll kind of go around and you can each do one of yours at a time. You can also spend rep or coin to get extra ones. I would suggest not doing that just on our first go at this, but it is an option.
Okay.
Here are the things you can do. You can acquire an asset, and that's acquiring some kind of temporary asset. And that might be some super equipment that you usually wouldn't like. We're going to get use of a big boat for one job, or we're going to hire a really specialized person, like an assassin, to come along with us, or something really special that you don't have around all the time. So that's acquire asset, and we can talk about more about the kind of things you can do with that. You can recover if you've taken harm. It doesn't just magically go away. And it is helped if you have a physiker. And good news, you have a cohort who we haven't named yet, who is a physiker. I'm thinking of him as kind of like Dr. Nick.
Dr. Bob, yeah.
Dr. Spachemin.
Yes, exactly. And he appreciates the business that you guys give him on both ends. Like, you guys get hurt and you hurt other people, and that gives him more doctoring business. So recover gives you a role. It's a role that can't hurt you, and it can help you lower your harm levels. You can do an action to try to reduce heat, to put the police off of your trail. That could be threatening witnesses. It could be scattering around, some bribes, or framing somebody else for things you've done. You can kind of figure out what you want to do and then roll an action to do that. You can train. You mark an experience point on an attribute or a playbook track. So that's if you got nothing better to do, why not train? And a special bonus for you all, as one of your things you start with, you get a bonus when you train in prowess. You get an extra experience point. So if you choose to train in prowess, you get 2. And that's the thing that came along with being bravos. So I picture that as like there's a basement or a big room where you've got like, punching bags and just various sorts of workout equipment and obstacle courses and such like that you can practice on. And then this is a biggie. You can indulge your vice. And that is the way to get rid of stress in the game. So you'll specify, you all selected your vice at character creation. You specify how you indulge, which purveyor of vice you use. And I think you mostly picked one. Many of you picked one to start with. Then you're going to roll your weakest attribute rating, which for some of you will be 1 dice, some of you will be 0 dice. And your result is how much stress you check off. The tricky thing is, if you get rid of too much stress, it means you overindulge your vice and something bad happens, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And then there are a couple other special things, like Column's going to do one of them, I think, where you can try to craft something by building plans and or tinkering.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody takes the ritual ability in the future, you can perform a magical ritual, or you could hire a specialist to do that for you in the future. And finally, you could kick off a long-term project. And these could be fun, and really the sky's the limit. It could be, we're going to cure Gregor of its beating people up randomly habit. It could be, I'm going to try to build up a network of contacts among the sailors who go out and hunt massive demons that provide most of the fuel for the city. It could be, I'm going to write a book, or whatever. It just starts, so it sets up a multi-slotted clock, and you'll take actions over time to finish it off. So that's kind of a cool catch-all thing that you can do. So let's go around and have people do stuff. At Column, I know you have at least one in mind. You probably have 2 in mind, I'm guessing.
Yes. I have 2 in mind.
So why don't you pick one of yours, and then we'll kind of go around the team one at a time.
Well, I guess the first thing I want to do is head down to the docks and check in on my old friend Grist, who runs bare knuckle boxing.
Okay. And are you going to be boxing yourself or gambling?
Oh yeah, this is Willie's favorite thing to do. All 4'11", 50 pounds of him likes to do is to get really, really drunk, go down to Grist's, and bet on these fights, and then take part in a fight and just be beaten unconscious, because he finds that in an odd way very, very relaxing.
All right, so that will be your gambling vice.
Yes,
it sounds like. So
yes, it will.
We look at your lowest attribute, and now that's the one that's like prowess or insight or resolve. Whichever ones you have
resolve. I have nothing under resolve.
I think a lot of people will have a nothing category. Oh, I'm looking at yours right now.
I have nothing under resolve. I have no resolve whatsoever.
Yeah, so your weakest attribute for everybody is the one that's most enthralled to your vice. So what you're going to do is roll 0 dice. Do you get to modify it for anything? I don't think you really do. Roll your weakest attribute, ignoring your vice. Yeah. So you're going to roll 2 dice and take the lowest result.
Oh, I can do that.
And that result will be the amount of stress you work off. Ooh, very nice. So
6 and a 5. I lose 5 stress?
You lose 5 stress. How much stress did you have?
6.
Okay, so you're down to 1 stress.
It was just a great night of getting the shit beaten out of him because he knew he was gonna. It was a no-lose situation. A good night's gambling.
Excellent.
All right.
So that's 1 for you. We'll come back to you, Colin. Does anybody else want to jump in with one of those downtime activities that I listed? Otherwise, I'll just start calling it.
I honestly, it's probably not very fancy or interesting, but I think I'm just going to train. I'd like to train my prowess by hitting the rifle range and just setting out some targets a little bit further than what you might be typically comfortable with.
Okay. So that's pretty easy to resolve. You're going to put 2 XP in your prowess XP track. So 1 is the normal amount you get for selecting the training activity. But in crew creation, you got something that gives you a bonus when you train prowess. So you get to put off 2 tick marks there.
Excelente.
That's pretty dope and pretty easy to resolve. Okay. Do we know what Silver wants to do for one of her downtime activities?
Well, I was thinking that a long-term project might be Silver wants to get back into high society.
Yes.
So I would like to sort of make it a long-term project to work my way up in the I don't know, is House of Rowan or whatever the most lofty of those?
They're among the most lofty, and they're the most local for you in 6 Towers. So that.
Okay.
But yeah, so on your character sheet, if you can start a clock that says return to high society or back in the high life again, if you prefer.
Okay.
And that's going to be tough because your family they really sucked about that thing when you refused to marry the horrific possible
Lord Scurlock,
vampire. Yeah.
Who already has many wives,
Yeah. Or has had.
Yes.
And so they just treated you as a pariah and disgraced. So it's going to be your full-on 8 clock check mark, or your 8. So yeah, you see what I'm saying. And then we don't need to role play every element of it, but what would your first step do? You'll get a roll out of this, and that'll determine how many tick marks you could start to get here.
My first step would be wrangling an invite to the next salon that Lady Rowan is holding.
Okay. So that would be so you'd be approaching someone in the Rowan family or connected with them.
Yes.
And what attribute do you think you'd be rolling to try to do that?
Consort, right? I mean,
that sounds good. So yeah, you would be like getting together, like trying to have a drink with somebody or meeting them at a coffee shop and trying to schmooze your way into it.
Right.
Does that sound about right? Okay.
That sounds exactly right.
So you're going to make a long-term project roll. So you're going to roll your consort.
Okay. What do I do here? Roll.
And looks like you have 1 dot. Yep. You can. This is a roll, a normal roll. So you could, if you wanted to, spend 2 stress to give you a second die. It's up to you. But I'll say on this kind of roll, you'll get something. Failure doesn't hurt you, but success helps you more.
Well, I only have 1 stress at the moment, so I don't mind adding 2.
Okay. So you can roll 2 dice.
Okay, so 2d6.
Yeah, and we'll take the higher of the 2, like a normal roll. Way to go, coming through with only 1 stress. No, but you got the 5 anyway. Okay, so that is a success, but not the super kick-ass success. So you meet a cousin of the Rowans at one of the coffee shops in the nicer district next door, Charter Hall, and managed to strike up a conversation. What's your, just for flavor, what's your sort of conversational gambit to try to get you back in here?
Well, I mean, obviously, I admire what she's wearing, and we trade shopping tips and fine clothing and fashion advice.
So that gives you 2 tick marks. If you got a 6, it would have been 3. If you got multiple 6s, it would have been 4 toward meeting this long-term goal. Oh, and I should say you always have the option on this kind of roll to increase its effect or to advance a crafting roll or something like that. You can spend a coin to get one more level out of it. So you'd be like spending money to splurge and show off how you don't mind spending money freely on drinks, say. But you don't have a lot of money, so I'll leave that up to you.
I'll stick with my 3 tick marks at the moment.
2.
Oh, I only got 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
6 would have given you 3. Double 6s would have given you 4.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I heard that wrong. Okay, so I'll stick with my 2. I'll stick with my
Excellent.
2. I'm on the way.
Okay. Rip, your first downtime activity.
Oh, I want to indulge my vice.
Okay.
Because
Who
I've got some
doesn't?
stress.
Okay. How much stress do you have?
4.
4. Okay. And what is your vice, sir?
Faith.
Faith. Oh, that's right. And so you go to the Temple of... We found the god's name. I hope you have it there. Otherwise,
Temple to the Forgotten Gods in Coleridge.
Yes. And we had found a god, the Unbroken Sun, which sounded very relevant to the Sun Chasers. I don't know.
Yes.
Okay. And what kind of ritual activity do you see yourself doing for the Unbroken Sun at the Temple of the Forgotten Gods? And
so, I picture his vice being tied to a long-term goal, and he thinks that he can get there through his faith. He wants to figure out how to become a lich.
Ew. Okay.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
What a fun goal.
All right. So you are, first of all, you're indulging your vice. So let's do that roll. So you're going to look at your lowest possible attribute. That's the prowess. Okay.
Yep. I have 1
prowess
dot.
it is. So you're going to roll 1 die, and that's how much stress you're going to burn doing your whatever pagan worship ritual you're doing here. They're all pagan worship rituals. So 6.
6. Oh.
Oh my.
Well, that's a great success.
And how much stress did you have?
I had 4.
Okay. So you hey, good news. You clear all your stress.
Yep, that's
Bad
great.
news.
And
you
we're done.
Have moved yourself into, I don't know, maybe just the state of religious fury or something. You get your choice when you overindulge your voice of one of these 4 things. You attract trouble, which means you're going to roll again on that entanglement chart. You brag about your exploits, like maybe you confess your sins too loudly and gain 2 heat for the crew. This one I don't think we'll do. Lost, you vanish for a few weeks, play a different character until this one returns.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Let's skip that. Yeah.
Although I like that one for flavor, but yeah.
Yeah, I think like if you're playing this long term, that might be more fun. But tapped, your current purveyor cuts you off. You'll have to find another place to worship for a while. I'm not Rip Slag Cheek. I'm Johnny John Shabadoo.
So if it's tapped, does that mean that this is literally the last time I can use this particular
venue?
I'd have to develop
unless you find your way back in. Yeah, you'd have to find another temple to indulge your faith.
I'm sorry, son. There's no Jesus for you this week.
I think it's more interesting to attract trouble.
Okay. So we select or roll an additional entanglement. All right.
For God's sake.
Let me get back to entanglements.
See where faith gets you.
Ooh. Reprisals or Unquiet Dead. Let's take a look at Unquiet Dead, shall we?
That seems appropriate.
Yes.
A rogue spirit is drawn to you. Perhaps it's a past victim. Acquire the services of a whisperer or railjack and attempt to destroy or banish it or deal with it yourself.
That's
I like that idea that there's a rogue spirit, like that while you're just worshiping your ass off at the temple, you attract the attention of some sort of weird spirit that will okay. So how about this? Let's do a 6-count clock. Do we need to give it a name? You can name your spirit if you want. Or we can keep it a secret.
I'll think about it.
Let's call it Curious Spirit for now.
Okay.
And put a tick mark in it just for old time's sake.
All right. How many ticks are there?
6. And a tick 6 is going to do something.
Call him Curious Gouge.
All right, Seymour, what is your downtime number 1?
So when I'm indulging a vice, can I visit a different vice purveyor every downtime, or when I pick one, is that my vice purveyor? Okay.
I think you can go anywhere.
Cool.
Yeah,
I think,
you can. Yeah.
I think this time that was a lot of fun, and I want to keep the party rolling. I think I'm gonna visit Averick and get myself some nose candy.
And what is the description of your advice?
That's pleasure.
It's pleasure. Okay, grabbing
Yep.
lovers, food, drink, drugs. Okay, yes, good. That does fit the bill. Okay. And they've got a whole list of drugs in the game if you want at any point.
You know what? I'm gonna have kind of a smorgasbord of uppers for now.
Okay.
I think. So I rolled 2d6. Take the low.
Yes, that's right. If that's your lowest attribute is 0, then yes.
My lowest attribute is definitely 0.
Okay.
2.
Okay, so you recover 2 stress. That's not great. But I'm guessing you didn't overindulge.
Walk.
Oh, dude, with what I'm on, the walk back is nothing.
Let's see. Spark, a measure of raw electroplasm blended with seawater. The user feels empowered and emits mild electrical energy.
Yeah.
That can be fun.
I'm down on that.
Okay. All right. So
little
that wasn't the
S.
greatest stress relief. You didn't get the good stuff.
You know, it was still better than nothing because I was sitting at 5.
Oof. Okay, Column, do you want to do number 2 now?
Oh, do number 2.
If you know what I mean.
What was my number 2?
You had expressed interest in tinkering?
Doing a tinker roll. I wanted to make a line thrower. Yeah. Because I found that that whole rope thing, that whole burglary stuff was taking up 2 slots. So I'm thinking I'd like to do it's on page 227. Yep. Midway down, a line thrower. A steam-powered pressurized launcher for a climbing line and grappling hook. So I don't know. It's like a tier 2 spark craft. Oh, I don't know what that means. Can I make that?
Yeah, so you can make that.
Okay.
If you were inventing something, you would have to research the plans for it. If you were like creating something that didn't already exist.
Okay.
Like if you wanted to make a tank or a flamethrower or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, I'd like to go to my room and try and perfect that, I think.
Okay. And it is a level 2 Sparkcraft gadget. So your cruise tier is 0. So you need basically to get 2, you need a success or better to create it. So you're rolling your tinker.
I'm rolling my tinker.
Mm-hmm. Or I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, sorry. My tinker is 2. 3 and a 3. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that means you are able to create a level 1 good. You could throw coin at it to bump up your result, which would give you enough to hit tier 2. So like, I don't have exactly the right materials. I could go buy something and put it over the top. But then you're out your 1 coin.
I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
Because I want my back gun.
Yeah. Okay, so you now have a line thrower, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
All right. Let's go back around to Gun.
I mean, I have 0 stress, so while
how'd that happen?
Well, I just shot things and it was A-okay.
It was very calming, actually. Very soothing.
I don't want to be boring, but I don't really foresee Gun as being someone that has like a long-term plan type deal. So there's no clocks I want to start. I think I'll just train again.
Oh, that is boring. But you can do that.
Yeah, I'm going to train my insight this time because I realized that hunt is in insight, not in prowess. But that's okay.
All right, so you get 1 tick mark there. Well, that was easy peasy, though. Silver.
Well, if I'm gonna wind up getting invited to the salon, I'm gonna need some more clothes. So I'm gonna indulge my vice. Which is luxury.
All right, and you just did add some stress, so it is worth it.
Right.
Okay, and so your lowest attribute, I'm looking at your sheet. It's a 1. It's prowess or insight. It doesn't really matter which one it is. So you'll roll 1 die to see how much stress you get rid of. You would like exactly 3, probably, so you don't.
Yeah, that would be wonderful, but we'll see how it goes.
There you go. All right. You zero out your stress without overindulging. You buy just the right amount of stuff. Awesome.
Good. Excellent. Some of that will go to decorate my room, and some of it will be some fancy clothes.
Excellent. Rip. Downtime number 2.
So I'm my health level is at 1, all scratched up. What?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I really understand whether I should be concerned about that or should I hit the physiker?
It wouldn't be. I mean, it's always nice to heal. I don't know. You could hit the physiker if you want, and you have one, which is nice, accessible to you.
Sure. Let's just get healed.
Okay.
Up.
All right. So
Difficult to focus when I'm in pain.
Exactly. And what was your? What did we say your damage was? All scratched up.
1, all scratched up.
Yeah, because you had resisted to, because you were going to be all smashed up otherwise, or something like all slashed up.
It was going to be bad.
Yeah. Okay, so you're going to do a recover roll. You have access to a physiker, Tinker, and his level. So it's going to be 1 die. And what you'll be doing here is marking off tick marks on your healing track.
Oh, there's a clock there.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's empty
so it might
right
take
now,
a couple
right?
steps. Yeah.
Okay, so in other words, to heal any level, I have to get 4 of those. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's kind of a pain. All right, so would I roll 1 die?
That's right. And so on a 1 through 3, you get 1 tick mark. 2, you get 2. 6, you get, or 4 or 5, you get 2. 6, you get 3. And if you wanted bonus dice, you could grab 2 stress to give yourself a bonus die here.
I'll just do it straight up.
Okay, cool.
Oof.
Okay, so you get 1 tick mark. So yeah, you don't have hit points in this game, but you have these kinds of damage that don't just magically heal on their own. Yeah, so that can get kind of ugly. And then finally, we have one more downtime action for Seymour.
I think I would like to have a getaway driver in our back pocket should we ever think we need one for a mission.
Okay, so that sounds like you are going to acquire an asset.
Yes.
Gain temporary use as a cohort, expert, or gang. Blah. So they'd be kind of on standby use for the future. Yep, that fits perfectly.
Yeah.
So we're going to roll the crew's tier. You are a tier 0 crew to start with. And as your rep goes up, that's going to go higher. And that's going to, so you can find, you could find anybody to do anything. Can you find somebody good? Who can say? So the roll is going to indicate the quality.
So 2d6 take the low again?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, let's see what we get here. Oh, a 5 and a 1.
Oh, 1. Okay, so tier -1. So it's basically as low as it can get. You have somebody who is capable of showing up and piloting, and we'll just say whatever vehicle you are using at the time, whether it's a boat or a goat cart or whatever.
Okay.
Oh, it's a goat cart.
It's a goat cart. But don't count on him for any of that fancy stunt goat driving.
Okay, but we can have him park outside, and if we need to run out and jump in
Exactly.
and say go, he will.
Yeah, and so
or
when
at
you
least
make
try
this
to go.
yeah, with this acquire asset roll, it's not like he's available for the next 2 days or something. It's when you do a job where you're going to need this, then you call it up.
Okay, so we have a getaway driver. I'm putting it in my notes, but Colin, do you want to put it on the crew sheet?
Yes. Do we have a vehicle? I assume. Do we
Well,
have like
I kind of assumed
do we
he
have a
would
carriage
come.
of some sort?
I was kind of assuming that the vehicle would come with the
driver. Yeah, I'm just saying. I don't think it's a package. Yeah, no, you don't have your own vehicle. I don't think that's.
That
there's
might be a long-term goal for me later.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just trying to see where I'm going to put this guy. I'll just put him in the notes, I guess.
Sure, that makes sense.
And so we have a getaway driver.
Could 2, in theory?
What's that?
I said, in theory, could 2 people work on a long-term goal together?
Yeah, actually. So you could. You could aid somebody on their long-term goal, for example.
Gotcha. Well, I'm gonna tell Gunn that potentially down the line, the opportunity for a drive-by shooting might be fun. That's something that maybe we could work on down the line, you and I.
If only.
Okay, that was our official downtime action. Now we can do some open play, and what I'm if you guys have specific things you want to do, that's great. And I'm hoping that this is going to end up pointing us toward our next score that we would do in our next session. So I would open by asking you to talk about what kind of job you might want to do. Do you want to hire out for another mercenary type gig? Do you want to try to establish control over some turf in this area? Do you want to find something cool to steal? Like, there's all the sky's the limit here, and you can get a sense of the sort of thing you might want to do.
I feel in our current situation, capital might be key right now.
I agree.
I mean, turf control and rep is always good. But I think a little bit in the coffers is never a bad thing. I don't know what you guys think.
Well, I think we'll probably get squished like bugs if we try and establish some turf at this point.
I mean, we don't need to establish our turf violently necessarily. Between Silver and I, we can scheme and talk our way through a whole lot.
Yeah. Well, we're clearly going to have to deal with these gray coats.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's something that I was thinking about too. Maybe it would be a bad idea for everybody to march into Greycoat Central, and we might be better off going with a gentler hand.
Yep, I would agree.
Although I wouldn't mind having someone handy with a pistol beside me if you still are. Yep, if someone is still up for going down to the tobacco shop. I might want to swing by and visit my friend Salia on the way and see if they can maybe give us a little dirt we can use to leverage our position with the Greycoats.
And Silver?
I was just going to say that if you like, I can go with you and try to finesse or sway some things.
That'd be a good idea, I think.
All right, I'm hearing the outline of a plan here. And who was your friend there that you're going to go to on the Tobacconist?
Well, before we go to the Salia, an information broker, and they are my shrewd friend.
Nice. Okay. All right. So that sounds like you are gathering some information about the Grey Cloaks.
Yeah. Well, I want to see if he can maybe give me a little bit of dirt that I could use to leverage our position.
Okay, I love it.
Maybe a rumor or proof of some dirty deed that they did that would get them in trouble, or information about I don't know, dissension in the ranks of the Grey. I don't know, anything that's out there.
Sure, I think I like that. Okay, so let's call that a gathering information kind of role, and you are doing it by talking to people. So I don't know what kind of skill. Consort sounds good. Yeah, I think that seems quite reasonable. So you're going to go and hang out and maybe drink or whatever your smoke.
Yeah. I'll come by. One of my items is a fine bottle of whiskey. Maybe I'll bring over some whiskey and maybe a couple cigars if I can scrounge them up.
Okay. And do you want to bring somebody with you to do maybe a teamwork role to give you a plus die on this?
You know what? If we're doing this on the way to the Tobacconist, I would bring Silver in with me, and I would say to make Salia not too nervous, let's leave the gun outside.
Okay.
If you just want to cool your heels for 20 minutes outside while we go in and talk.
All right. So while we resolve this, people who are not along on this mission, which I guess is William and Rip, think about what you might do with some of your free time here, if you're gathering information or whatnot. But we'll go ahead and think, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do a thing with you, and then we can hit the Tobacconists.
Yeah. Gunn, are you good with that plan?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right. So you go to your information broker. Now, I don't think he has a shop that says information brokers are us. But maybe a newsstand, because there's a lot of papers. Yeah, how about the idea of a newsstand? Because there are newspapers in town, like, crappy tabloid sheets, but they are newspapers, and that's a fine cover for an information
That's great.
broker.
I like that.
And this is somebody you're already familiar with. And you don't need to persuade, but are you asking the right questions and that sort of thing is what your role is going to be. So you're rolling your...
I have 2 in consort. And Silver is here they're going to assist me with that roll. Is that how that works?
So Silver you could spend 1 stress to give him a bonus die on this, or you can hang on to it maybe for the more crucial meeting with the rival or potential rival gang, or who knows, potential buddies.
I would suggest, and you do you, but I'd suggest holding on to it.
No, sorry. The cat decided to flip me into airplane mode. So
Clever kitten.
Okay, so I'm rolling just a straight 2d6 here, and I'm suggesting you save that assist for later.
Okay, that's totally fine.
Okay, cool.
Ones. Okay.
Yeah, 2 ones.
Save that till later.
This was kind of a shot in the dark anyway.
Okay. He says, "Yeah, the Grey Cloaks are playing it pretty close to the vest right about now. All I know is probably what you know. Their goal now seems to be trying to get some kind of control over 6 towers, and well, this ain't worth nothing to you because everybody knows it. They are probably looking for ways to clear their name after getting kicked out of the Blue Cloaks." And nobody knows if they can do it, or if if they did what they're accused of in the first place, some kind of cover up of a crime. But yeah, I'm really sorry I can't help you. Maybe I'll do you better next time around.
No names to drop or anything. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. I appreciate it. I'll offer him my whiskey bottle for 1 more swig.
Yeah, that's good whiskey.
I'll say, well, I'll be swinging back through and talking to you again. If you hear anything, put it in that mental Rolodex of yours.
Will do. Yeah.
And so then as far as I'm concerned, we can head to the tobacco shop if you want to smash cut back to the other group.
Yeah. Rip and William, what kind of things would you be doing with your open play time now?
Well, I think it was agreed that we were going to try and get some coin, right? That we were going to try and swell our coffers a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking we should be maybe scouting for some place that will be suitable for a heist, or maybe we could chat with Madame Volyova and see if she's got any gigs for us. I'm looking here, and we're in 6 towers, right?
Yep,
so
that's right.
We're in a nice spot right between Brightstone, which is where all of the grand mansions and the rich people live. Down south of us is Night Market, the trade center for exotic goods imported by rail. That could be lucrative. Or if we want to get really risky, there's Charter Hall right by us, which is we could hit the government, which is probably a dumb move. I don't know. I would leave that up to Rip then.
I think we should just look for the next job.
Mm-hmm.
A remunerative one. Heist seems to be something we're good at. After all, we got into that tough place pretty easily.
But do we look ourselves and scout in where was it? Brighthall? Was that what it was called?
Yeah, so I think the question there is, are you scouting for something to steal and fence yourselves, or are you looking for heist for hire?
Heist for hire.
Either are perfectly valid options.
I prefer heist for hire myself.
Cool. So you guys are gathering information. How are you nosing around for heist hire? And this is not a particularly weird thing to do. There's always people looking for stuff to be stolen.
Is there a quest board in the square?
There is not that. No.
Madame Volyova has rats in her cellar.
I insist on killing the rats in the cellar at the bar. That's
right, Stone. Yeah, I know you did. We could do that when we get back to that.
Okay, so you guys are, I don't know, you aren't your fancy talking type, so I assume you're kind of looking for jobs in low places.
That's why I was thinking. Well, I was thinking if we were actually doing it ourselves, I could be using my survey to be checking places out that look like they might be easy targets. But
what I like about the two of us going is that we represent such diverse sets of skills.
Yes.
Yeah, because I don't know what you've got. I'm designed to destroy things, to build things that destroy things and destroy those things.
Well, I think we represent the breadth of skill available in our crew is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
So people could look at us and go, "Oh, these people." And also, we now have a successful heist, hitting a major. We can brag a little bit.
Yeah, but do we know anyone other than Madame Volyova?
Well, you guys have contacts around the city, so what we can do is kind of come up with your method, and then figure out what you're rolling and see how successful you are at getting jobs, or a job, or maybe multiple job offers if you roll well enough.
Well, what are your strengths, Rip? Because mine are study and survey.
Yeah, I say study and survey are mine too.
Okay. So we're not great talkers, but we're, like you said, we have very good resumes.
Okay. I think survey seems like a reasonable role to make, as you're just kind of like nosing around, getting word on the street, looking at events coming up, seeing who's out there, who's looking for what. That seems like a reasonable role.
A pip there.
You said survey?
So, yeah, or if that's a valid option here.
I have 2 pips in survey.
Ooh.
All right.
So should I roll it, or can we
Sure.
roll? Can we roll 3?
Well,
Can he assist me in such a thing?
If he throws in a stress, you can get a third die. Yeah.
I think it's worth it in this case.
That seemed. Oh, you think so? You want to throw in a stress? Does he have to throw in 2 stress or a stress?
If you nail us a sweet next gig, I think it's totally worth it.
Yeah, I think so too. That's all. I'm ticking off a piece of stress right now.
So it's just 1 stress he has to take off.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
1 stress when you assist, 2 when you give it to yourself. Is that?
That's right. Yeah, you can always push and spend 2 of your own stress. But right now you're at 3 dice with his stress, so that's pretty good.
Okay, 3d6.
Job hunting.
Okay,
6 is good news. Okay, so you nose around a little bit, and you eventually you're going from gambling hall, I imagine, to bar, to vice den, to music hall, and whatever, just where lowlifes like to hang out. And you make a contact, somebody you'd heard of only by reputation, but never met in the past. And he's a big fella by the name of Van Dorn. And one of your contacts says, "Yeah, I hear Van Dorn actually has a couple jobs. He's looking for a crew for kind of specialty kinds of things." And so you end up making your way to the bar where Van Dorn holds court. It's a drinking establishment, and he's just drinking pint after pint of hard liquor, and you're worried when he leans in toward the candle from time to time that he's going to ignite, because he's just sweating so much booze out of his head. But it doesn't seem to affect him at all. And Van Dorn says, "Tell me a little bit about your crew."
We have occult abilities. We have destructive abilities. We have skulking abilities. And perhaps...
We have guns.
And we have guns. We can apply violence, or we can be subtle, or both. Perhaps you have heard of our latest caper.
Which one was that?
Well, Lord Scurlock ran into some difficulties recently, as it were.
Well, if you're not afraid of taking on Lord Scurlock, yeah, you got some guts then. There's a couple things that might be up your alley. You can maybe even take your pick of them. One of my clients is a collector of sorts, and there's an artifact he's interested in that's in the possession of the noble family, the Bowmores. And that's Bowmore. You've heard of them. You've heard of all the main noble families. And there's an opening where you might be able to get into it. They're outside their mansion. They're going to have a big little festival to celebrate somebody's anniversary or birthday or wedding. I don't know. I don't care. But there's an item in there. I'll give you more details if you take the job. We're hoping you can use the festival as a cover to get let in, and we can give you a map to figure out where the item is. You got some talkers, you said, right? That might help.
We do.
You might be a good fit for this. Price is pretty good. And he says an amount that amounts actually to 8 coin, which is a pretty sweet deal.
Yep.
Ideally, we would now, of course, want you tracked from the place to the drop-off point. That's one stipulation. If you're interested, maybe talk to your crew. You can have that deal. I've got another one. Maybe it isn't so much. Crew is taking a boat full of a couple different drugs across town, trying to keep a low profile. I know somebody is willing to pay. It'd probably be an easier job than that other one, a little more along the violence line. They're just looking to pay 5 coin on that. That one's going to be way more straightforward and a little less fuss and muss, but probably more shooting.
Oh, well, then we'll take that one. It's drugs and violence.
So that festival, that party I mentioned, it's in 3 days. So if you can let me know by tomorrow so I don't start looking for another crew to do that job. The drug shipment coming in 4 days. No. Yeah, 4 days from now. I'll probably spread. I like to spread the love around, so I'm going to say one or the other for you, though.
You shall know by tomorrow.
Excellent. I'll be here. Okay. Team Tobacconist, you headed over there now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Smoking is very not healthy, you know.
Yeah, unlike so many of your other behaviors.
But it's extremely cool.
Did. Yeah, as much lightning as I just shot up. I don't think.
You've still got sparks shooting out of your teeth from time to time. Yeah. Okay. So you are going to the Tobacconist. This is in 6 Towers. So it's not a super long trip. You just went from the newsstand, and the 3 of you are headed over. Now this is a Tobacconist. It's not just a storefront. There's you walk in off to the right. There's a long counter and with a display of just like all sorts of different tobaccos and other non-tobacco smokables. There's a lot of fungus in this world that you eat and ingest and smoke in various ways. So there's like all sorts of different things you can smoke here. So there's this long counter along the right, and then it dips down into kind of a conversation pit in the back where people can smoke the product they've just bought. Now, this is not a narcotic joint, so it's pretty mostly legal. They're not up doing something where they'd get raided on a daily basis or anything like that.
Question.
Yes.
Are there hookahs on the tables?
Oh yeah, there'd be hookahs. There's pipes.
Nice.
There's things you can roll, or roll your own, or buy pre-rolled. Yeah, any way you can imagine to smoke something. But probably not any way. You guys are pretty imaginative, but most ways you can imagine. So yeah, you go in, and there's a middle-aged woman at the counter. It actually seems very attentive and very solid on the customer service. You were picturing kind of like a low-life surly joint here. Welcome. What are you looking for today?
Good afternoon. Fine, madam. How are you?
Very good. Very good today. What tobacco product? I see you. Gun. Wait, who was smoking earlier?
I was.
Seymour's.
I was doing lightning earlier.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But no, I did take some cigars over to the Salia with me.
Oh, right.
So I probably do smell like tobacco or whatever.
Oh, you are a connoisseur already, I see. What kind of interest you
have? Certainly.
And she starts spouting off about, these just came in by train over here.
And I'm going to play the game for a little while. And maybe even express some interest in some moderately expensive stuff.
Okay.
And then I'm going to say something along the lines of, I'm a connoisseur of many things, not just these consumables. I'm a connoisseur of contacts and information and friends and allies. I've heard that I might be able to parlay with some certain well-known folk who frequent this place.
She takes your meaning. Yes, of course. Here, have try a little sample of this. And you'd mentioned a hookah, Silver.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, she sets you up with some samples of things. She says, "Please wait back in the trial area, and I will send out a note and see if any of those contacts might be around."
Thank you so much.
Okay. So, what do you each smoke?
Go ahead, Seymour.
Oh, I was gonna look for just probably some straight tobacco, maybe with a mildly fruity flavor.
Yes, Fruit Loop.
Yeah.
And Silver?
I think I've got some of that in the other room.
Well, for the hookah is an elegant smoke. So, in keeping with my high society thing, I would like just kind of like a perfumey mint jasmine tea kind of flavored tobacco.
And Gun, are you smoking? Smoking gun?
So yeah, I buy the cheapest tobacco. I roll up a couple little cigarillos for myself.
Okay. And so, yeah, you settle in for a wait while you try each of your products. All seems like good quality and well maintained. The hookah is quite clean and non-gross. So
As
cool.
we wait here, I would say to Silver that depending on who shows up here, it might be best if she takes the lead, as she is a little bit more presentable than I am, and might make a better first impression, especially if a gentleman happens to show up.
And I just won't talk.
All right, so
I'm a great contributor to social progress.
You just need to sit there and look menacing.
Great. She's got a big fucking grin on her face.
Nice. As you're smoking, the place, it wasn't very busy. There were just a couple of smokers hanging around in a corner, playing cards with each other. But over the next few minutes, more customers show up. And Gun, you see, at least as they show up, they're strapped. They're carrying weapons, concealed. A couple of them just kind of peruse by the counter. Another pair of them sit down at a table across the way from you. You see another one just sort of hanging out by the front and another one at the back door. So you believe this is not a random coincidence. And then after they're all in place, a woman, young woman comes in. She is dressed kind of in a nondescript way, but carries herself with authority. And you could see her in a blue coat watching the street maybe not that long ago. She comes in, glances at the woman on the counter, gets the nod, and then comes straight over toward you. And she says, "My name is Nessa. You were looking to make contact with someone here, I understand?"
I am going to go ahead and stand up and give a very flourishy bow and say, "Seymour of Scotland at your service."
Yes, nice to meet you. She doesn't do much on ceremony.
Does she sit down?
She does sit down and produces a cigarette of her own. And lights it up.
Then I will sit back down too.
Okay. And Jenny, do we have your sound? Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Yes, I'm here. And I will ask her, what are you smoking?
She says a brand. It's like really common, and you as you smell it, this is like what somebody might smoke out walking the beat, or this is all they can afford. She's not smoking
Camel
anything
Crushes.
Fancy at all. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we picked the wrong person to finesse. So I guess I'll cut the crap and very politely say to her, "We are interested in the doings of the Grey Cloaks. We heard that things are going down, and we'd like to know about it."
Well, I'd like to know more about you before I say anything about that. Who are you, and why are you here?
Perhaps our reputation precedes us. Perhaps you've heard about the incident at. Can I describe the general location of where we were?
Sure. Oh yeah.
In a way that would make it sound like I wasn't straight out admitting something, but
right. And her eyes narrow at that. I have heard about that. Yes. That was you?
Well, I'm not saying it wasn't us.
Okay.
We have knowledge of the incident.
Mm-hmm.
Intimate
and you
knowledge.
Carnal.
You came to tell us
knowledge.
Who did it? Well, she says, okay. We don't need to beat around the bush here. You are here, I assume, because you know that we are claiming Six Towers as our territory. Unlike certain places in town, we don't have complete control over the area, but we have an interest in anything that goes on here. I guess, cutting straight to the chase, are you here to declare war, or are you here to reach some kind of deal?
We would prefer to strike an accord.
Yes, we are not interested in fighting.
Mm-hmm. And are you...
As you just finger the handle of your pistol.
Right.
Oh, no. I'm not that obvious yet.
Okay. So do you all have kind of a outcome in mind that you're hoping to get from her? Obviously, it sounds like you're not looking for a shootout on the spot.
Honestly, what I would be looking for is, at least for right now, I'd like to come to a live and let live, and good fences make good neighbors agreement is what I'm looking for right now, I think.
All right. So I think we're at a point where somebody can make a roll to see how persuasive you are in negotiating. Who would like to propose a roll?
I had the last consort roll, and Jenny, do you want this one?
Well, I was going to suggest that it's not just a live and let live, but maybe we could trade information now and again.
Okay. So it sounds you could go with consort, like, hey, we're all amigos here. Sway, like, hey, we can help you out. You could try commanding her and see how that goes.
No, I'm going to sway. I'm going to. No. I'm going to sway her.
Okay. So you've got 2 dice to start. Somebody could spend stress to give you a third die. That could be Seymour joining the conversation, or it could be Gunn looking tough and effective.
I'm disinclined to want to add to my stress right now.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You only healed 2.
I could take some stress. Honestly,
okay.
I kind of imagine Gunn being a little like... I'm trying to figure out how Gunn feels about the Grey Cloaks. We have kind of shared history between what my background was and them. So I think she's a little on edge, honestly. Yeah, I'll take some stress to give an advantage.
Excellent. Okay. So that's got you up to 3 dice now.
Okay.
You could spend 2 stress yourself to go for 4 if you really want to just have a chance of getting double snake eyes.
So 2 stress?
1 stress to help.
Oh, okay. Cool.
2 stress if you boost your own. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I'm good with the 3. Let's just do that. Okay.
5. Okay. That's pretty good. And let's see. We'll call it a risky roll with moderate effect. So she says, okay, here's the deal. It doesn't sound like you're trying to claim any physical turf right now. So that makes our relationship a lot easier. What I'd appreciate is if you do jobs in 6 towers. If you do whatever you do outside of 6 towers, I don't care about. If you do a job in 6 towers, I would appreciate a heads up, and then we can also stay out of your way so we don't cross paths in an unpleasant way. And I would like a small token cut of an amount amounting to 1 coin of any job you do, anything you get paid for or fence or whatever in 6 towers. And if we could agree to that, I think we could have just a wonderful relationship.
Well, that's not a bad deal. I obviously don't say that out loud, but I'm just sort of looking at my 2 companions, raising my eyebrows.
I mean, it certainly seems, ma'am, with all due respect, that you are definitely getting the lion's share of the benefit from this deal. Maybe in exchange for our cooperation, you could float a little information our way now and again. Maybe if there's a job that you don't have time for, or if your folks hear about any heat coming down on us, we'd appreciate just a note slipped under the door or something.
She nods, ponders that for it. That seems reasonable. And can we expect the same from you?
Of course.
Okay. And I'll throw in a rules thing here. There's another way to push in the game, which is to spend 2 stress on your own action to improve the effect of your outcome. I guess it would be, Jenny, if you wanted to do that, you might be able to you would get a somewhat better deal. You'd improve the effect of your 1 success there.
I will take it. 2 stress it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I should have offered that up front.
Okay, well.
Okay. She says, you know what? You seem like good people. We could do without the token tribute, but I will ask you emphatically, if things work out well between us, I would like to share some information about you. You might have different sources of information in town. You know the circumstances, I think, in which we left the blue coats, and we're trying to clear our names in a lot of ways. We might ask you, instead of paying, we might ask you at some point to do something to help us along those lines. We'd pay you a little something for it, but if you could tentatively commit to that in advance, I think we could waive that transit fee for doing jobs in 6 towers. What do you say?
I think Silver would probably be pretty good at that because I'm going to be influential soon. So yeah.
Awesome.
And then, so I guess if we're all in agreement on that, I would stand up and reach my hand across the table, and I say, "Do we have an accord?"
She'll shake on that, yeah.
And as we shake, on each of our hands.
Oh boy.
In the space kind of between the thumb and the pointer finger, in that little webbing part there on the back of your hand. We each have, depending on how you look at it, it looks either like a small fang or a drop of blood. And we are now committed to a ghost contract. If either breaks the contract, they take level 3 harm.
Wow, that's right. That's a cool thing. Okay, so that is in effect now. And as you shake hands, Gunn, you see all the what are obviously members of her gang there in case of trouble. You see their stances relax. Like they were, they weren't like hands on weapons, but they were all ready for action. And now they still are, but they're much more relaxed about it. But you could see these guys can summon up some muscle if need be.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to ask how big are the gray cloaks or gray coats? Gray coats, right? Not gray cloaks.
It's the blue coats, and these are the gray cloaks.
Gotcha.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so I was going back and forth. They are tier 2, so there's a fair number of them, but also they've got good connections, and like I said earlier, they're well armed and equipped for violence should the need arise.
Okay. And we're what tier?
Tier 0.
Tier 0. Oh, cool. Even better.
So they are bigger than you. Yes. Okay. So that was, you've got at least a tentative or a provisional deal with the Grey Cloaks. So you've clarified that position. Do you want to gather up and talk about the possible jobs that William and Rip summoned up for you?
Sure.
Yes.
Certainly, please.
Leave it to you two to present the options.
Yeah. So I'm inclined to lean towards the lifting of this artifact in return for 8 coin from this festival in who are this family? The Bolmores. I don't know.
Bolmores,
Whereabouts?
yeah.
What district would this be in? Do we
That
know?
would be in the Brightstone district.
Oh, that's going to be in Brightstone. So that could be very lucrative, and it could also be quite a bit of fun. And Silver will get to hobnob with her kind, so she may enjoy that.
Did your contact, what was his name again?
Van
Dorn.
McDunchman.
Yeah.
Got it. Did they mention anything about any incidentals we might find along the way? Are those fair game, or is this a go in, get the one thing?
Go in, get it, and leave.
And
he wanted.
When you meet with them, he'll give you the details of whichever.
Okay.
One of the big things he mentioned, which I thought was unusual that he should mention it, was that we were to make sure that we were not tracked from that location to the drop-off point.
Ooh, I've got an idea.
Which makes me think that may be an issue for us.
I've got an idea there.
But we'll go back to Van Dorn if we agree to do that one, and he'll tell us more.
Cool with the team.
The other one's a drugs run.
I mean, I think there are going to be plenty of those available.
Yes, so do I.
Like, I think we can pick that up on any day ending with Y.
And I think the drugs one in 6 Towers.
It's coming through canals. That you would hit it in 6 Towers area.
Yeah, and I would rather not deal with the Grey Cloaks at this point in time.
Yeah, I would have shared everything that transpired in our meeting.
I kind of figured, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I'm all for that. And I mean, we can do some scheming later once we get more details. But one of the things I would ask is when we go back is, are we allowed to pick up any trinkets for ourselves along the way, or is this a very get this one thing, be really discreet about it type thing? But maybe what we could do is employ our getaway driver right here and do something where we get in the getaway car and then jump off a bridge as they follow the getaway driver, and we make our escape a different direction.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Ooh.
Hey, you hired that getaway driver. You get to name him.
So that's just an idea, but we can scheme on that later. That's just one way we might avoid getting tracked. We could also use what's that fancy thing you got there, William?
Oh, I got lots of fancy things. You're talking about my line
thing.
thrower?
Your new fancy thing. We could abseil and disappear quickly.
All right. Well, we're at 2 hours now, and I think this could be a good place to leave it. So then, when we reconvene, we'll have the briefing with Van Dorn. He'll give you the details of what you're up for. Then this time, you can do some pre-show activity of scouting and casing and gathering information if you'd like to see if you can get some bonuses on your initial roll to get in there. And then we'll have the job. It'll be a fancy party and heist. There is a mansion and a barge that'll be fixed in place where the main party will be going on. And there will be highfalutin types there and some lowlifes trying to break in.
Cool.
Like us.
Cool.
Exactly. Exactly like you.